I'm gonna tell you a story. It is a short story, and it's called The Masque of the Red Death. The Red Death had long been feeding on the country. No sickness had ever been so deadly, so great a killer, or so fearful to see. Blood was its mark, the redness and horror of blood. There were sharp pains and a sudden feeling that the mind was rushing in circles inside the head. Then there was bleeding through the skin, though it was not cut or broken, and then death. The bright red spots upon the body, and especially upon the face of the sick man, made other men turn away from him, afraid to try to help. And the sickness lasted from the beginning to the end no more than half an hour. But Prospero, the ruler of that land, was a happy and a strong and a wise man. When half the people of his land had died, he called to him 1,000 healthy, happy friends, and with them went far away to live in one of his palaces. This was a large and beautiful stone building he had planned himself. A strong high wall circled it. This wall had gates of iron. The gentlemen, after they had entered, brought fire to heat the iron of the gates to make them close so firmly that nobody could open them. Here they could forget the sickness and the Red Death. They would leave the outside world to care for itself. Prospero had supplied everything they needed for pleasure. There was music, there was dancing, there was beauty, there was food to eat and wine to drink. All these were within the wall, and within the wall they would be safe. Outside the wall walked the Red Death. It was near the end of their 5th month there that Prospero asked his friends to come together for a dancing party, a masquerade. Everyone was asked to come dressed in fine clothes and with his eyes or perhaps his whole face covered by a cloth mask. It was a scene of great richness, that masquerade. There were 7 rooms in which Prospero's friends danced. In many old palaces the doors can be opened in such a way that rooms can be seen all at the same time. In this palace it was different. Little more than one of them could be seen at one time. There was a turn every 20 or 30 yards, to the right and left. In the middle of each wall was a tall pointed window. The windows were of colored glass of the same color that was used in each room. One room had hangings on the walls, made of a rich soft cloth.
Masks. So get prepared. Yes, ma'am. Wonderful.
All the rooms were lighted through the outside window. The resulting light was strange indeed, as it colored the shapes of the dancers, but the light that fell on the hangings through the glass was the most fearful of them all. It produced so wild a look on the faces of those who entered that there were few of the dancers who dared to step within those walls. In this room the seconds passed, and when it was time to mark the hour, a clock spoke with a loud, clear voice. A deep tone as beautiful as music, but so strange that the music and the dancing stopped and the dancers stood still to listen. And then after another 60 minutes, after another 3,600 seconds of time, the clock struck again, and the dancers stopped as before. Nevertheless, it was a happy and beautiful masquerade, and you may be sure that the clothes of the dancers chose to wear, their costumes, were strange and wonderful. The dancers looked like the forms we might see in troubled dreams. It did not seem that their steps followed the music, but that the music rose from their steps. And the dance goes on until at last the clock begins to strike 12. Again the music stopped. Again the dancers stood without moving while the slow striking sound continued. Before the clock was quiet again, many in the crowd saw that in one room there was a masquerader who had not been seen before. As they talked softly to each other about him, a feeling of surprise spread through all the dancers, then a feeling of fear and of sickening horror. Only a very strange masquerade could have caused such a feeling. Even among those who had laughed at both life and death, some matters cannot be laughed at. Everyone seemed now deeply to feel that the stranger should not have been allowed to come among them dressed in such clothes. He was tall and very thin and covered from head to foot like a dead man prepared for the grave. When Prospero looked upon this fearful form, he was first filled with terror and then with anger. "Who dares?" he cried. "Take him, seize him, put off his mask so that we may know who we must hang at sunrise." But no one dared to put out a hand to touch him. The stranger starting to walk to our other room. Prospero suddenly and angrily rushed. No one dared to follow him. Looking firmly into Prospero's eyes, the masquerader sounded a cry, and the knife dropped shining upon the black floor, upon which a minute later Prospero himself fell dead. The dancers then rushed into the room. The stronger of the men tried to hold the masquerader, whose tall form stood beside the black clock. But when they put their hands on him, they found inside the grey clothes no human form, no body, nothing. Now they knew that it was the Red Death. It came in the night. One by one the dancers fell, and each died as he fell. And the fires died, and the clock stopped, and darkness and decay and the Red Death ruled forever over all.